righty. Well, week 10, you're back. And I got to tell you, we got a character for you today. No, I don't mean Charlie the Silver Fox with the best head of hair in small
But I'm a
business.
character. I am a
You're,
character.
I shudder to think what novel that is. It's
Oh,
more of a graphic horror novel,
stop, dude.
sci-fi
Yeah,
fantasy.
it's true.
Um, right? But folks, we have another one of our very special guests for you. We have Mr. Phil Gritner. So I will let Charlie do the
Yeah.
intro because he never gets to do the intro. And with all that
Yeah,
good
I
hair,
never get to do the intro. I
and with
never
that
get to
good
do
hair, he
anything
needs to
around
learn to
here.
do something around here because it's
Right.
going to be
Folks,
fun.
it is
Good
our
idea.
pleasure to have Phil Gritner on tonight. Phil owns and operates a sign shop here in Richmond, Virginia, and I've known Phil for over 10 years. If you've been on Arthur Ashe Boulevard in the past, 20 years or so, you've seen the massive amount of change that's gone on. But one thing that hasn't changed, there are a couple of places that haven't changed, right, Phil? I mean,
True.
the
Yes.
flower shop has stayed in there. The
Boulevard
sign
Tire.
shop has
Yep.
been there. The Boulevard Tire shop has been there. There's a lot of old school places that have stayed there, but people don't know the backstory of the sign shop. And so, what I thought we would do is first talk about where you're from, how you got to Richmond. If you're from Richmond, I don't even know these things,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
do a beat down on Phil Gritner and figure out what he's all about. And then I
Okay.
want to talk about what it took for you to go into business for yourself
Sure thing. Yeah.
and what that felt like. We know what it we know what it we know what it looks like for so many people, but we have yet, I don't believe, to have anyone on to tell us about how they felt like the night before they took the keys to the place.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I hear you.
but first of all, Phil, thanks for joining us. And where are you from?
I'm from Richmond. Yeah, born and raised. So Chippenham Hospital and went to VCU. Grew up in Chester, but once I went to VCU, it's been Richmond the whole way through.
Right.
So basically Richmond local. Yeah.
What'd you major in at VCU?
It was mass communications. So basically a graphic design and the advertising. So it was similar to signs in a sense, but
So you're one of the few people who's actually using their
yes,
their, their
absolutely. Yes,
degree
that
for
is
what it was
true. Yeah,
intended for.
absolutely. Yes. So when we
And
started, it was kind of like new graphic design at VCU, but I am glad that I'm actually using that degree for sure.
when year did you graduate?
It was 2005.
Right. So there were guys before you like Doug Doby back in the 80s. I don't know if you ever knew Doug or saw Doug or had any contact with him, but he was a graphic design guy that ended up at one point going to Capital One and doing a lot of their graphic design work. And he was a VCU punk rocker back. I mean, I'm much older than you, obviously,
Yeah.
but Doug worked for. They had him over there for a while, and then he went back on his own, and he did a lot of the punk rock stuff for
Yeah.
the bands around town. And so the art scene in Richmond and the graphic design scene in Richmond has been very, very strong for many years because of guys like you. But in the 70s, even 80s, they were utilized before the internet to promote bands and
Right.
bars
Yeah.
stuff. And you'd see it all over the telephone poles.
Yeah. That is one cool thing I like about VCU and the Richmond area. It's very art driven. Even the music scene, it's cool to be around. And but
So
yeah.
how did you come to the Boulevard at the time, now Arthur Ashe Boulevard, and start working for, as I called him, I never knew his name, the old man that you
Yeah,
worked
yeah, yeah,
for?
yeah, sure thing. So basically, when I moved to Richmond in 2001, my obviously I needed a job going to VCU, so I worked at what at the time Budget Signs under Jim, and was there for about 10 years. And then when he was ready to retire, my situation was like I either find a new job, travel, or just kind of start my own business. It's kind of my what do I do next kind of scenario. And what ended up happening was I was like, well, hey, I already kind of have the history and what to do. Might as well jump in and kind of be an actual business owner. So I was kind of working under the radar in the back behind the scenes for about 10 years. And then I had the opportunity to make it happen. So essentially, I just saved up all my pennies and bought the equipment, phone number, and kind of revised things and updated it to the best of my ability at the time. But that's kind of the history of where I kind of came from. But we have been on the Boulevard since 2007. So, and our time there is probably, to be determined because things are changing so much in the city. So, as we're kind of on borrowed time with that particular location. But
Sure.
where
How long was Budget Signs there before you, I mean, how long was he
uh,
there?
so we were there probably about 7 years, I want to say, roughly. If I could, I don't have the exact math numbers, but I want to say we were on that location. We were on Broad Street before that. I don't know, and then basically, yeah, we've been there since 2007, so it's been a
Okay.
pretty long ride.
I
So
thought he
far,
was there a lot longer than that.
yeah.
So you decided not to go get a job and not to go travel, and you decided, okay, I'm going to put the money together and buy this guy's equipment and buy this guy's telephone number and
Correct.
make a go of it.
Yeah, it was a
What
pretty
made
wild
you
ride.
make that determination?
Well, I knew that I had the experience with the hands-on experience, like how to fabricate signs, how to graphic design. I knew all the back end things, but to this day, I'm still learning the business side of things, whether it's like, all the numbers and all that other jazz. But um, I knew that the potential was there because I could see it all around. I was like, man, there's a lot of room for updating and improvements. When it comes to working for your dad or someone older, you're kind of like, man, we should be doing this or we should be doing that, or we need to update our website or all those things where, there's a lot of room for potential and upgrading and all that kind of stuff. So, it
When you
was,
talk about upgrading, what were you looking at immediately? I mean, did you have to do a cash outlay to buy new equipment or any of that stuff? And if
I'm
so, where
talking,
the hell did that money
we were
come from?
on like floppy disks and old computers and just outdated things. We needed to update to digital printing and update our software and just kind of clean up the front shop showroom and all these different things that were like kind of still a lot of potential needing to happen. But when you've been in business as long as him, he was just burnt out and tired and just kind of felt like, hey, I'm good with what's going on and very comfortable. They needed that person to kind of get in there and essentially give a shit and make things happen more or less.
Right. Right.
That's the idea.
Where did you get the money from to buy everything out?
So he gave me a really good deal. I'll promise you that. I did kind of work some things out with him to pay him off in time. So at that time, I was essentially looking at, do I just buy my own equipment and do my own thing from scratch, or if he's giving me a good deal on what's already established, I'll just kind of run with that, renew the lease, and kind of move forward. But he did give me a really good deal based on the setup. And also, he didn't really have any potential buyers at the time because I don't think his actual system was set up to where someone can jump in and make things happen. It was kind of outdated. So that was to my advantage as well.
Right
Um,
time, right place.
right. Yeah. And it was kind of, it wasn't really a franchise, it's a one-off small business. So I think that if he had gotten his system together and tightened things up, he could have sold it for a lot more, and then I would be working for someone like you potentially. But the idea is he just kind of was ready to get out, and just essentially I bought the equipment and kind of kept the ball rolling and slowly kind of changed things around.
Have you ever done any marketing?
No, no, no. That's I'm learning a lot about that, and it's the idea is we don't necessarily want to throw the net out to everybody like, hey, we make signs for anybody and anything. The idea is the first few years you say yes to everything, and then over time you try to say no to everything and focus on what works, focus on the right kind of customers, doing the right kind of projects. But being on the boulevard with the open door policy 9 to 5, we get all kinds of projects, and that's kind of who we've become. But we are now kind of like stepping back and saying, hey, let's focus on what actually works, who we want to do the signs for, and things like that. So as far as marketing goes, it's always been word of mouth. Haven't post much on Facebook or Instagram. And again, it's just because we want to focus on what we'd like to do instead of just anybody, anything, that's kind of been our experience in advertising.
When you look at the landscape of sign and graphic arts development, um, how do you attribute your success? And I mean, I'm saying your success because every time I go in there, like I came in today, right?
Hmm.
To shore up, hey, this is at 7:30. We're
Right.
gonna tape this. That's how old I am. We're taping it, recording it, I should say. But I mean, this woman walked in behind me and said, "Hey, like I need those two signs you've made for me, and then I need three or four more." And you engaged her in conversation. I stepped out of the way and I observed that this woman could go anywhere and get
Right.
these signs made.
Right.
So what's the hook?
No, that's a great point, man. Because honestly, I've been giving it a lot of thought lately, and you try to think about your competition and what sets you apart as an individual. And you come up with these very generic sayings like, oh, we've been in business for so long. Who cares? We do this, that, and the other. Who cares? So can I. We're located in Richmond. Who cares? So are we. We can do things online. So you go through all these examples, and a lot of it's like, who gives a shit? So can I. Like, I can do this, I can do that. And it's very challenging to set yourself apart from your competition because you have to find out the things you really have to dive deep into it. It's very complicated, but you kind of do a generic elevator pitch. And if you're left with who cares or so what, then anybody else can do it, and that's kind of like an ice cream shop or a t-shirt place. It's just very broad. So what I've dialed in over thinking about it is that we do have a place you can come in. We know a decent amount of ideas and solutions to your problems and sign related things, but you can come in and get stuff done and leave. Like a lot of franchise places, they just call in and have a place in Ashland that does the signs, or they don't really have like in-house production. Like we can walk back and print things on the spot. So you have to think about what sets you apart. And a lot of that comes down to is who's your competition and what's different about what you do in the same kind of market or world in the print industry. But yeah, that's been a big topic is what sets you apart. And it's hard because you do all these generic explanations, but what sets us apart, I think, is we are with you the whole way through. Like you call me, I talk to you, we get your designs, I'm on the computer, we get all the emails and things set up, I help print it, I can even install it for you. And then at the end, I mean, I kind of can invoice you, but that's kind of when I hand it off to Andrew and he kind of sets you up with the invoicing kind of side of things. But that is unique. I don't think about it every day because it's just like, that's just what we do. It's kind of become a everyday situation, but I'll ramble more
Part of
about
the
that.
reason I wanted to have you on is because I've had this conversation with so many people on air, on this podcast and not on this podcast, on the street. So it's like my wife says, I couldn't do what you do. It's too much gamble to do real estate. I've asked her on several occasions, you don't want to go in this deal with me?
Right.
No, I'm not going. Nope, nope, not doing that. Um,
Yeah.
but what I do is what I do. So I don't see it as special.
Right.
What you do, and some would say, well, Charlie's got a niche real estate acumen and he's able to apply it to a niche market and make it work. You have a unique ability to do things that some of your larger competitors, who I'm not going to name because it's not worth it here to do that,
Yeah.
are aren't able to do because they have an employee back there who doesn't care as much as you or any of the guys in the shop that work with you
Right. Right.
have. So what the question that all led to was, what made you believe that would work?
Hmm.
And that's a question we've asked a couple of entrepreneurs here on this shows. What gave you yeah, I can do this? Where was that moment for you?
Honestly, I think what happens is when you rely on somebody else to do the job, you're kind of like, all right, well, hey, this is as much as I can do. Now the ball's in their court, and we hope that it follows through. But if you're the one that can make it happen all the way through to the end, not only does it become natural, like say drawing a logo, like if I said, "Oh, well, we're gonna draw this logo. Hold on 1 minute. Hey, can you draw this?" And then I'm waiting for them. Like you're asking me when it's gonna get done, and I'm asking them hurry up. And then now it's just like I can't do it. But meanwhile, if I learn through mistake and practice to do it myself, I won't really rely on anybody, and that's when things can happen faster because I'm a one, not to say one man show, but in certain departments, I'm the one that can take care of it the whole way through, which I think is unique because I don't know if anybody else would give a shit as much as that, or they're kind of like, that's not my job, or I don't get paid enough to do it. And they kind of just sit back with, I'm doing enough for my X amount per hour. I'm just going to wait till 5 and then I'm done. And then I'll maybe or won't think about it and have a beer or whatever. But the idea is like, if I rely on someone else, then I can't feel very confident that the job's going to get done. It's kind of like I'm hoping that someone else can hurry up and finish it because I promised somebody something. But I think that is important because I can answer questions knowing that it's to my ability to get it done without having to wait for someone else. So that is a factor to kind of think about, when it's all said and done. If you can do it, well, which is it's like it's a little bit of being stubborn. I mean, let's be honest. Like if I had other people to do it, then if you want it done, kind of you got to do it yourself. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I hate to say it that way, but it's a little bit of stubbornness. I will say. I think we're all guilty of that as business owners. Like,
Jim, have we heard this before?
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Yeah,
we have. Phil, let
yeah.
me ask you this. So, you've owned your business for quite a while now. What would you say, like, I won't say you're the biggest lesson you've learned, but what's some lessons you've learned over time being your own man?
Well, I think a lot of it, like Charlie was saying, is when it comes so natural, you don't think about any obstacles because you're just prepared. I think being prepared for jobs, I mean, you wouldn't believe the type of things you have to think about when you're just putting up a sign. I mean, you just think, oh, what do you need? Postal diggers and a screw? Like, you have to have the right kind of drill bits. You have to have a saw. You have to have touch-up paint. You have to have extra things lined up. If you mess this up, you have to have an extra. Like, the list goes on and on. But I think a lot of it is just being prepared through mistakes, and then you also realize how much when you try to tell someone like, hey Jim, I need you to put the sign up. You're like, what, where, who? And then I have to kind of somewhat, we'll call it babysitting for you because you're new to the sign world. But the idea is like, if I'm telling you what to do, I don't realize how much I already think of naturally just throughout the years of doing it. So when I have, like, for instance, we had a friend put up some signs this weekend, and I'm like, I didn't think about this. I didn't think about that because it's all just normal to me, and I have it in the truck. So, when I pass the torch is when I really kind of realize how much experience is built up in everyday things that are just normal. Like if I tried to jump on a horse today, Charlie, you get on one easily, but it's the same idea. You just naturally get used to it and practice. But
Well,
yeah,
It's a very
if I had
you
to
bring
put up
up
a sign, I'd be minus 100 pounds very quickly because I'd starve because
yeah.
talentless right
Yeah,
now.
But
well,
it's
job
funny.
security.
It's funny, Jim. I didn't realize how in demand signage is until I got to know Phil. And I remember when he took over the shop. I remember going to the old man and getting signs. Jim,
Yeah,
right, was his
yeah,
name.
that's correct,
I
Jim.
remember getting signs made from him. They were for rent signs, for lease or sale or whatever. They were never for sale, for lease. And he would, yeah, yeah, I got you. And
Hmm.
it would come out perfectly. I mean, he made my first Dirador Properties sign when I was Dirador Properties way back in the 80s. And it just, I cannot get over the fact how many customers come through there and they're always looking for you. So here's the next question.
Hmm.
If you get bigger, if you expand, how do you do it, Phil?
Exactly. No,
Because
that's
it can't, eventually, it can't just be Phil is in the shop. cool. I'll go bust his chops for 30 minutes over
Absolutely.
a line of signage
Lord
and we'll
knows what.
discuss fonts. Come on, right?
It's true. It's very true. Like when you think about what does it take to scale as the bottleneck of the business, um, essentially what you're trying to do is teach them to care and to work hard and to be passionate and all the things about being an owner. Because when you own the business, you're going to do whatever it takes. But it is going to be challenging to pass the torch on to somebody who shares that same passion and works as hard as I do. I mean, it's just kind of what happens when you have to do it or you're the owner. But that is a good point where what do you do if I'm not there, and what continues to be there? That is a good question. I think it's even finding the right talent and the right candidate. Um, teach them the whole culture of the whole place. But that is a challenging question. I don't know at this point what would happen if I have to pass the torch on to someone tomorrow. You know what I mean? But it's something to think
I mean,
about.
if you opened a second location on the south side, right?
Yes, I think.
First of all, would you open a second location given the way listen, this all comes from a book. And I don't know if I talk about this book constantly on this podcast. It's called The E Myth. And it was written back in 93. And everybody who listens weekly goes, will you ever shut up about that book? But it's about how small businesses can succeed, but normally fail, right?
Mhm.
And the example is pies, right? Lucy makes great pies. Lucy wants to start a pie business. Lucy goes and finds a building, buys an oven because everybody in the neighborhood says, "My God, Lucy, you make these great pies." But Lucy's great at making pies.
Mhm.
But Lucy sucks at books. Lucy doesn't know how to get along with anybody in the kitchen or in her bakery. And so Lucy hires somebody else to manage all that other stuff, right?
Right. Right.
Are you able to do that if you want to open a second location or if you want to open a bigger place?
Right. I think a lot of it has to
This is a
do.
look in the mirror moment for Phil,
Yeah.
basically.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think about it all the time where, um, again, going back to being comfortable with what you do, you don't realize what it takes for someone else to fill those shoes. So you'd almost have to have some kind of onboarding tutorial workflow system thing to where you almost got to think of it like a franchise. I hate to use that word, but that's when you first start at a franchise sign place to say, "Hey, welcome to this. This is what we expect. This is what just kind of a guideline to what expectations are and things like that." Again, I don't really know much about that, but that would give me the idea where I'd essentially have to be there to help the transition through. But opening a second location, at this point in time, would make me feel like I'm spread out too thin as of now with our current system. But it doesn't mean that it can't be done because there's tons of franchises that do it all the time. They may kind of filter through enough candidates to get the right talent, but in time, I think that they'll filter out who is a good fit and who is not. But I said it would all come down to a general system and expectations and like kind of general guidelines, which is not my expertise, but that would probably be in order to kind of pass the torch or start a second location, they'd have to have some kind of essentially you're working on the system. You got the demand, you just got to work on the supply.
How has AI affected your business?
And it is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. I love it. I know there's a lot of people that don't like AI, but man, it is great. The reason I say that is because I've wasted so many hours and hours saying, "Hey, how about this? How about this? How about that? Oh, change this." It's just such a waste of time. But you can get on your phone. You could say, "Hey, I'm having a yard sale, whatever you have a landscaping business. You want these ideas, and you can present me with an idea instead of me guessing and wasting time. And then it's just so much faster because for instance, if someone's having a lemonade stand, I'm not going to waste an hour designing a lemonade stand and getting an email back and forth for a $60 order. So the idea, or less, the idea is I can just,
Less,
yeah, or 20, depending on who's doing it,
right?
right? The idea is I can essentially just ask chat, "Hey, kids having a yard sale, lemonade stand, film me something together." They love it. I love it. It works out. We're done. It's just such a I mean, I know a lot of people don't like AI. I understand that concept, but for me, instead of thinking of it as a threat, I dive into it. I use it all day long. I mean, it's on my browser at all times. I have a lot to learn, but it does save a lot of time, and it also helps the customer tell me what they want instead of just some generic Google image search, you know? It's
which
great.
you and I have done in the past.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just figuring out what the customer wants to help them with examples of products and materials and all that other stuff. They can just chat GBT something with their logo, and it gives me a 80% jump start on most projects in a matter of minutes. Now the print quality is so-so. So there's still some touch-ups you have to do, but I'm okay with that. It gives me an idea of what the hell they want, Um, it's
You're
it's
not having
great.
to start from scratch, which I'm sure
Correct.
that's the hard part, right? It's
Oh yeah.
is a thing I kept hearing over the weekend of imagine if someone had never seen a dog before and they describe it to you and then say, okay, now draw it.
Right, right.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. It's not going to be anything like what a dog would look like. So if something gave you at least the outline, then you can
Mhm.
take that and work that and play with it. And to your point, it
Oh
feels
yeah,
like in the creation business, it just gets you much further down the road, much faster.
absolutely. Absolutely. And another example would be, for instance, today there was a church and they wanted a new sign for out front. So I could tell them the price. Just, hey, here's the material, here's the size, this is the price. But then they're going to be like, what am I getting? So do I waste my time designing something in hopes that they purchase it with my wasted time design and here's a price tag? Or I just chat an idea real quick and say, here's a beautiful sign idea and here's your price. If you want to, kind of take it to the next level and into production, then that's great. Then I'll dive in and make it happen. But to think of not again, yeah, it's a waste of time if I design something and they don't like it because of the price. In this case, I could just throw something together, and I use that not in a bad way, like give them an idea, throwing something together. Yeah. But the idea is like, this is what you could get, and here's the price. Instead of like, hey, I spent 45 minutes, hope you like it. Oh, you don't like the price? That was a waste of time. So a lot of times, it's a lot of people don't know what they want. They just want a sign, they don't know what they want, and they don't really expect me. But I'm like Chad. I'm like, give me every detail you can with whatever you have, and we can try to figure it out. But AI has been awesome, and not to mention the other aspects of like just organizing emails and workflow stuff. It's but on the graphic design side of things, it's awesome. I mean, I said I know a lot of people don't like it, but I understand why they don't like it because it looks generic and it's kind of like a copy paste theme. But that's not what I would use it for the most part.
Are
Rendering's
you
nice.
using it a lot for organization and streamlining the business?
Yes, it's been awesome because so we switched from Yahoo Mail to Google Gmail, whatever. And the idea is I'm taking the data and like finding out so much information because I've got like 8,000 emails. I mean, just from years of stuff. So it's streamlining like all of the history of the customers, what type of customers are the right type of customers, the right type of products, all the details. And I won't bore you to death, but the idea is it's
No,
taking.
please bore us to
Yeah,
death.
okay,
I'm
okay. So
not kidding. Like, because
here's
what
the
you
idea.
think is boring is not boring to us or
Okay,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
listeners.
yeah. Well, I'm,
Right,
I'm still
right.
learning too. So the idea is I've got 8 to 10,000 emails from years of stuff, and Claude, and I put it into a program, and now what Claude is doing is it's taking apart all my context, organizing that, which is one awesome chapter. Then it's taking the types of sign we make and what works, what's the ideal customer, and then from there we can essentially use we can find out what's the best kind of customer and how to attract them and all the sales pitch things behind that. But it's been really amazing that it can basically learn through our responsism, like our procedure, which was going back to a franchise theme where you have to have some kind of procedure. Like someone orders this, what's the next step? Here's the general pricing and the turnaround time. So we're using this information to kind of do about 5 or 6 different things to essentially move forward and understand. I mean, even down to like what building should we get next? Like what types of signs are we making for who and where, and what would be the best facility for that it's hard to even explain, but if you have a bunch of emails and you kind of want to know what to do with it, man, AI can just break things down and explain it to where it just summarizes your relationships with each customer, and it also tells you what the best type of customer there is, what the best product is, and it's unreal. I mean, we're still coming through it because it's a lot of emails, but yeah, that's a whole nother thing right there. That's been pretty cool. Um, Highly recommend that type of work if you have. It takes a little bit of time, but if it makes it's worth it though.
When you
Yeah,
say time, when you dumped 8 to
right,
10,000 emails into
correct.
Claude, I mean,
Yes.
I'm sure Claude went,
Well,
what?
yes, exactly. You have to filter out the junk, which is the first step, and then I'm kind of working on just contacts, like previous customers who we have a relationship. So when I'm ready to open the floodgates, they're kind of queued up. And then it's also telling me the type of relationships and the type of customer that's the best, say, property managers and things like that. And also what types of signs make the most money based on all the emails like, oh, that sign's this much, that sign's that much. So it's like, these are the signs that make money for this type of customer, and here's how you approach them. And this is an example of some things you can do. Now, moving forward, here's a list of like other similar businesses in the area, and also a guideline on how your procedure's going from start to finish. So you can take that and turn it into a onboarding tutorial program for moving on to new employees and how to hire and who to hire and all the stuff that we're guessing as business owners of like, we just run through it and keep on running and keep on running, but we have to stop and say, hey, what's been working and what's actually worth it? And it's complex, but it's all. So the work part is breaking it down and asking it what you want out of it and taking that information and applying it to something useful, because we're sitting on a gold mine. It's just a bunch of information that, you know, has a lot of history and a lot of answers and solutions. And yeah, it's again, like I said, what type of building do we need, where, and for what type of sign for who, and how do we hire someone through all the processes, through all the emails we've ever done. But it is a process and chopping it up, and but we're getting there. We're kind of plugging away.
Jim, I think
That's
this is the first person we've interviewed that's used AI in this way.
Oh, 100%.
it.
Um,
I'll definitely keep you updated. It's a quite a bit to comprehend, but you can understand. It's like taking a whole library and filtering it into like topics and subjects and turning it into like a resource without having to read all the books. But like you walk away with, hey, this is the book I need out of all the library books we have. Like this is
But
going
the
to help
funny
me.
thing is, you wrote the book and didn't
Yeah,
know you were writing the book.
absolutely. Yeah, and I'm sure we all have a bunch of emails. I mean, definitely worth it.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one thing we can all
oh.
relate to. Yeah, yeah. So if you have Gmail, you can link it with Claude, and then from there, just say, hey, what do I do? Hey, Claude, I've got 8,000 emails. What's a great idea to do with these? Because I know it's good information. Oh, here's what you should do. You should, contact lists and phone numbers and types of business. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And um, it's been awesome. And it's like, again, moving forward, that's like the past that we're kind of using it to our advantage moving forward, all the way down from hiring to where to go and what to do, which is a lesson learned, because we're thinking about, do we scale, do we hire, do we move, what do we do? But you got to dial back to like what actually works, like what's the best product for the right customer, and then dive in, like pinpoint that. That's why I don't really talk about not advertising to everybody and anything, because then we'd be making Mickey Mouse stickers for birthday parties every day. But if we hyper focus, maybe that's the word, on what works,
Yeah.
and that's the way to go. That's kind of where we're at. um you know
Interestingly enough, Phil, as you say that, you are not the first guest to say that exact thing, right?
yeah,
I mean, there was a guy who ran small business for the U.S. Army, and the first thing he said is, "Well, you got to know what your market is, and your
right,
market is whatever your market is, right?" Then we had somebody who is an expert in horse riding safety. She talked about the fact that this is my
Right.
market. There are 1,000 things I could do relative to this, but this is my market, right? So
correct,
it's big. I think it's bigger than you think when you say that
yeah,
about, hey, yeah, I could do Mickey Mouse stickers and t-shirts and big signs, but no, I really want to focus on more graphic art related stuff. My
Right, right.
market
You know,
is this thing right
It's
here.
such a good point. It's such a good point because we tend to throw the net out like, hey, I mean, we're on the boulevard 9 to 5. People walk in all day long, so we've become what they want just based on who comes in. And unless I like say no to everybody, we kind of can't. I have to be like literally located in a different area
to say no.
yeah, to say no. Because other than that, like,
Or to not have the constant flow of traffic you have through there. Hey, I
yeah,
think I'll stop off and bullshit with Phil. Well, Phil's got work to do.
yeah. It's I
But you
like
do find yourself, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I stopped
yeah,
doing it
yeah,
because
yeah.
I
No,
realized it was
I
like,
love a good distraction,
this
man.
guy's
Yeah.
running a business here. And
I love
I
it.
like him and he likes me, but I'm wasting his time here going,
Hey,
hey,
I need it too.
what's going on,
It's a great,
man?
it's a great distraction. I love everybody that walks in. We've seen them all kinds of walks of life. Now there are days. Some days are better than others. Like if I'm really got some stuff to do, I'm able to just be like, you don't see me. I've met like I can say that. I've had enough time to hang out where you get it. But the comic relief we'll call it. But yeah, it's marketing and advertising is great for certain businesses that have a product that everybody could use, but we're so custom that it's not really a pick it off the shelf kind of product. Like if I sold a particular item where it's like, oh yeah, right here, then yeah, throw the net out because anybody can just walk in and it's a quick transaction. So that it's different for kind of doing custom work. That's kind of another thing to mention where we're not just selling ice cream and everybody come in. It's we kind of don't want to advertise broadly to everybody because again you lose track of what you're focused on or should be focused on. Keyword should be. But yeah, that's yeah, it's but yeah, everybody should check out some AI more importantly and see how it can benefit them in the time saving um features. But
Do
yeah,
you
man.
love what you do?
I do. Yes, I do. I really like it. And what I can say about that is I don't feel like I'm selling someone a product they don't need. I could sell you a sign and you can make money with it and we're both happy. I'm not saying it's health insurance or whatever else, but that is one thing I can stand behind is you can leave with a product that essentially makes you money. So everybody's happy. And it's your brand and your identity and your theme and logos and stuff. So that's kind of cool too. So I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Would 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 you consider what you do the best part of what you do, the creative piece or the production piece?
So that's
That was
that's
something I thought about long and hard today before I asked the question because you're a pretty creative guy. We both know that. And I think a lot of people around Richmond know that. Um, but is it the creativity or the production that you dig better?
That's a good question. So the way I look at it is if I sat behind my computer doing design work all day, I would be burnout. I probably wouldn't like that. If I was outside digging on signs and on a ladder all day long, I probably wouldn't like that either. It gets old, it's hot, whatever. So the good part is I can design, print, produce, and then leave the office, hide from characters that walk in the
Charlie?
door. Yeah, I said that. Characters. That was nice. I mean, we're
I
live,
missed
right?
him? Damn.
Yeah. So the idea is like I can do a little bit of both. And I like the production side of things because that is also a challenge on again being prepared to have all the equipment and tools and hardware needed to knock it out quickly. And it's fun to get out and about and go to areas that you really kind of wouldn't go to on a regular basis. So it gets you out the house. And then I like being in the house because I can kind of, be in the air conditioning and do my thing and kind of do some design stuff. But more importantly, I do like the balance between production and or creative and then, hands on. Because I'm essentially a contractor, really. Like, I mean, I've got tools that people are like, oh, what kind of work do you do? And I'm like, the ladder rack and all that stuff. So, and then I'm not really a graphic designer because that's not what I do full time. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But to answer your question, I like the balance between sitting down, doing design work, printing, doing the design stuff, and then I also like being on a ladder and drilling and doing all the heavy lifting. As odd as that sounds, it's kind of rewarding to work hard, and that's the harder it is, the more rewarding it is, which is probably a new bumper sticker for you or something. But yeah, that's the idea.
Can you design it for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Your chat GPT. You know, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
But
So
that's the theme we've had in this show, right? I mean, every entrepreneur that's come on here, every business person that's come on here said the same thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Don't quit. Be willing to put your head down and do the work. Be responsible for the work you do,
Right.
right? It's the same
Take
thing you're
pride.
saying. It's funny though, because you all are in completely different businesses. And yet it seems that I think I can say that it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost identical. The ideal of here's what it takes to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You
Jim?
just kind of plow through. I know you like that word, but we just keep on going, Don't give
But
up.
I mean, that's been a theme, right? I mean, who was it? Well, was it the guy from small business contracting with the Army who said don't quit, or who was it that said who? One of our guests said you just gotta say I'm going to do this and just keep saying I'm going to do it and do it and do it and do it. I forgot who it was, but it was this dogged determination
Mm-hmm.
times 10. When you get up in the morning, you have to make sure. But that's a good question for you, Phil. When you get up in the morning, do you have a plan for the day?
Man.
Some small business people do, some don't. I have a
Oh, right.
generic plan, but I can, like any good ADHDer, I can
Right.
go 180 degrees from where I was supposed to be and feel perfectly comfortable doing that. Do you
Right.
have
No,
a
no.
plan for your day?
So it's a good question again. So the idea is we've got what we need to do, what we have to do, what we don't want to do, and what we want to do, right? We all end up jumping on what we want to do, but we know what we need to. I should be invoicing. I don't need to be, doing this or talking to people that walk in, characters again. But I have a general theme throughout the day where the mornings kind of coffee, emails, design, production, and then if I have installations after lunch, I kind of kicking into the install route. Like I'll be gone doing things in the afternoon. So that's the general flow. But then you've got all the in betweens where the phone rings, the person walks in, the rush jobs, and all that other stuff that kind of derails the theme. And then really, squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if there's something that's more important than what I need to do or want to do, it kind of has a little bit of a, organized chaos, I guess would be the word. But again, it's a general good intentions, but the whole classic, what am I supposed to do, what I want to do kind of thing. Um, as far as schedule goes, I've got a few things I need to do, but when it's all said and done, it's essentially what needs to happen based on who's bitching the most, and I say that politely. We already know that about the most. All right, yeah. There's times in the day where all right, what's the worst thing that I'm like? What do I like not want to do? And that's what I need to do. So that's kind of my plan is to focus. That's try my best to focus. Try not to ramble, as you can already tell I like to do, and kind of got a few things lined up, but no general real hard schedule. I mean, I'm pretty much I honestly I don't really like making plans, and that even dials into this podcast. I'm just like, hey, if it happens, that's great, and I don't want to goof up your schedule, but I'm pretty much like when you called me this morning, I got the kids running around trying to make breakfast and coffee. I'm like, dude, this is I don't even know what Zoom download, what I don't even know how to answer this question right now. And then you texted me, I'm about to text back, and then I'm like, distractions or characters walk in the door, and then next thing you know, your little head pops in the window, like, what's going on? I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't flake out. I'm gonna make this happen, but and then
I
on
went to
top
the
of
store
it, I was
today,
like, is it a no?
Jim.
Is it a no? And I'm like, oh shit,
I
yeah,
popped the
let
door
me.
open and went,
It
"Are
was
we doing this or not?"
yeah.
And he
I was
went,
like, oh no, yeah, and
"You
I was
really
like, I
came
was
in
about
my
to make this
store and
happen.
asked me that question?" And then this woman comes in behind me. I'm like, oh boy, I better move over to the right
Yeah,
here and not say anything.
no doubt. Yeah. Poke his little head in like, hey, and I'm like, ah, he called
Hey,
me out.
hey, hey, little head. There you
So
go.
he's an
5'6".
example,
I get
classic,
hammered for being short. Great. There we go. Yeah.
classic example of the squeaky wheel right there. Just coming in hard. Just what are we doing? I need that. I need that. I do. It's important. So
So
thank you for
Phil, let me ask you this. As we start moving toward wrapping up, if as a guy who's owned a small business for quite a while, you worked in a small business before that, and there was, the governor watching this or some other, local politician, name a couple of things you would want them to focus on that would make either your life as a small business guy easier or some other small businesses.
sure. Yeah.
What are some of the things you think they could do to make your life easier?
Absolutely. So, dealing with a lot of business to business, just in general throughout the days, I do hear a lot of issues with permits, meaning ABC permits or zoning permits. And the process of getting that done holds people back. And a lot of it's ABC. I'm not too sure if that relates to your question, but the idea
No,
is
it does.
yeah, so like restaurants were open, they need signs, we get that done. We just small talk about, permits and zoning and all this kind of stuff. And then they're like, yeah, I've been waiting, 6 weeks for my ABC license. And I'm like, why? Because, you're legit and you're going to be paying taxes and this is a beneficial thing. So permits, you hear that a lot about that with contractors and like the process and behind it. So I'm not exactly sure what the solution would be, but that is something that I think could be beneficial for everybody in taxpayers or however you do it. Other than that, I mean, I try not to complain too much of things because I'm more about making it happen and just getting it done and just kind of like, not really sitting back and complaining and waiting for someone else to do it. Even, I mean, yes, of course I could complain about parking, but it's the city. I mean, let's move on. Next topic. So the main thing to go with is the process for getting permits approved should maybe be some kind of, even if you have to pay more to get that process
Oh,
expedited.
we already went through that. No, no,
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
no.
I don't
Stop.
know if
Time
there's,
out in Richmond.
yeah,
We already said we pay more. We agreed to pay more during the Wilder administration, and it just got worse and worse and worse through each administration.
hmm.
Um, how does the B poll tax treat you, brother?
What's that?
How's your business licensing taxes
Oh yeah,
treating you?
absolutely. Sorry. So that's fine. Yeah, I have no concerns with anything. Just talking about what I hear from other people is the general processes and permits, but for the
So
most part,
nothing directly, hey, I'm in the sign business and I need to tell, I have a platform tonight, and whenever people listen to this or watch this, the message is not really for you. The message is on behalf of people you're serving in the community, is what you're saying.
correct. Like I don't have any concerns with anything in particular. Just the message I hear in general would be related to that department. I mean that's
Streamlining and
yeah, and
not
it's
even
not, and I understand if it's more complicated than I can really help out, but to chime in on what can be done, that's just what I hear. And maybe they don't have their stuff together or they're filing it late or whatever the case may be. But other than that, I mean, I'm willing to listen and understand on almost any topic. Nothing really is worth not to say the word complaint about, but I'm happy with the city. I mean, it's nothing really that bugs me or keeps me up at night.
It's good. I
Unless
mean,
unless
look
you
at
have any
that.
stuff.
A small businessman not bitching about something. That's
No, I'm not.
I think that's a
I'm like. I
record.
mean, I know that sounds odd, but like I understand we're in the city and there's a lot of things going on, a lot of people, a lot of places, a lot of things. And if I didn't like the city, then I would, maybe not be in the city. But you're in the city. It's kind of like we all have to understand it's part of the game. And that's all I gotta say. I mean, if what do other people in general say about that topic? And I mean,
Regulations.
mhm.
We've heard a lot about regulatory controls.
yep,
We had
access
our
to
first
capital.
guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I mean, have you ever? It's a very personal question, so maybe I don't know. I mean, have you ever had to borrow any money to run the business?
Honestly, no,
Oh, like is
I
access to
don't.
capital a problem for you?
I wish it was because that means I know what I'm going to do with all of it. Like if I had a bunch of money, the problem would be what do you do with it? You know, I've got good credit. We don't run up credit card fees. We pay everything on time. We have no debt. So that's kind of the idea. But I wish someone said, "Hey Phil, here's $1 million. What are you going to do with it?" And then the problem will be like, "Oh, let me get my system straight because I'd love to just go, open all out." So the idea is like a lot of times I know this, and then you can edit this out if you need to, but the idea is like if people have a bunch of money, they need to know what to do with it, And like if someone's willing to give it to you, like you have to prove, hey, not only am I going to make this happen and pay you back, but then it's kind of like, well, why don't you just do that anyways? Like, what do you need the money for? And I know it sounds crazy, but like, if I needed money, we have good credit and a good relationship with our banks to make that happen. But more importantly, if I buy equipment with it, then I need the system. Then the bottleneck would be is your workflow and your system and your training and your hiring. Like that now is the problem because you've got this equipment sitting there with the money that you borrowed. But again, that's probably a good problem. But I think if you've got good credit and a good work history and you're willing to prove it, then you may not need the money. Or if you do need the money, you can at least show them what you're going to do with it to pay them back without having any risk. But yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of money saved up, or enough, I should say, to make things happen. But more importantly, needing to know what to do with it. I know that sounds completely ridiculous, but the idea is the problem would then become hiring and training and onboarding and the whole system and the flow and the administrative side of things, because now you're kind of opening the floodgates, which goes against the overall broad advertising theme we were kind of going with. But if I needed money, I could I would probably more likely work harder to make that happen instead of relying on somebody else. Going back to the relying on somebody else, meaning the bank. Um, I would like the challenge of needing money because then I would probably focus on what needs to happen to get that done without relying on somebody else. But if it's there, that's great. They would say, "What are you going to do with it?" And I'd have to answer that question. But like again, it's a good problem. I often think of like, what would you do if there's 100 customers at your door in the morning, tomorrow morning? And some people are like, "Oh, that's awesome," but sometimes it's like, "Hey, that's a nightmare." So that's kind of like, what would you do if I put $1 million in your lap? It's like that's awesome, but that's also a problem because now I got to figure out how to. There's a lot of other things besides money, and it's like money comes and goes, but you're gonna focus on different things when you have it.
Are you ready to scale up?
So, I think it's a
You see the
challenging
cat?
question. It's it's a tough question because you want to say yes, but you want to do it. You almost got to get the horse in front of the carriage. You know what I mean? Like if I have again $1 million new location, now the problem is going to be who's going to take care of things and how's that going to get done and their overall cash flow of things. But we're definitely in a transition with this lease thing coming up.
Keep talking.
Yeah, man. Anyways, he's going. Yeah. So the idea is, I mean, it's always good to scale. Obviously, you want to make those moves, but you also want to make sure that you're prepared to scale. Because when he's
Right.
talking about a second location, to me, that's intimidating on how to, not spread yourself too thin. But I'm all ears on scaling. Whether it's a small business and what they've learned, but I think a lot of times businesses need to learn the back end of things before they move forward. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So,
I had to
where
let the cat out. I didn't even know the cat was in the room the whole time.
who wait, who let the dogs out? See?
Oof.
Um,
Meow.
where now,
This is
where
the
can
most
folks
important part of all this right here. Coming up, Phil.
yep,
Ready?
Oh,
where
no pressure.
where can people find your business and you?
Sure thing. So we are on the boulevard. It's 1016 North Arthur
Arthur
Ashe.
Ashe Boulevard, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. In the center of the city. Our website is thecustomsign.com. So our email is sales@thecustomsign.com. And it's the custom sign shop. You can find us on Google. Don't come find me though. I may not be there because I'm trying to hide, but I'm here for you. I'm gonna hide, but I'm here for you. You know what I mean? But You're gonna
That's a
screw me on
great
this.
quote. I might hide, but I'm here for you.
Yeah, one way
It's
or the other.
it's
I
like
may not respond or
it's
answer
like
the phone.
the old Simpsons thing with where he's like walking backwards and like falls
Yes,
back and
exactly,
is just kind
exactly,
of
exactly.
hiding,
That's me. Like,
blending in.
yeah,
Um,
Where,
yeah,
what's the
absolutely.
phone number, Phil?
It's 804-353-2768
How long has that been the phone number?
for a very long time. Very
Yeah,
long time. That
baby.
was
Yeah.
actually, yeah. 353, it's the Scott's Edition thing. So yeah. We're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, but a lot of times I would say, you can always email me instead of just walking in and starting from scratch because I like to kind of be prepared to what you may need. So but yeah, if there's any advice on how to scale or what to do, I mean, we're all ears. We'd like to
Hey,
hear.
man, listen to the podcast. You might hear something you like.
Yeah,
I want to thank you very much personally.
thank you.
Jim has had a couple of folks on that he's known, and I don't, and I'm trying to weave and bob my way into the
Yeah,
questioning or or the discussion. You and I have known each other a long time. I've got a lot of respect for you and what you
thank you,
do and
Jay.
what you achieved. I remember when Jim retired. I remember when you bought the place,
Yeah,
and I, love seeing what you've become.
thank you.
Um, and it's been a lot of fun having you on. It really
Thanks.
has. I know
Appreciate
you
it.
were reticent about doing this. I get it.
Hey, no
Um,
plan's the best plan, man.
but I like the fact that you tried to hide, but you were there for
I'm here
us.
for you. Got the lighting, got the camera, got the action, got the microphone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all coming through and your time as well. Nice meeting you, Jim, and everybody.
yeah,
Thank you, man.
thank you for being on and just you know what, being able to keep up with Silver Fox there known as Charlie and
Yeah.
and uh and just me. So
Yeah.
to our viewers, we'd say, hey, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And also thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us, Phil. And as I always love to say, be good, be better, and be best.
Thank you. Right.
See you, everybody.